just like to say this is being recorded and it's being videoed.
Why is it being videoed, please?
Because I chose to.
You're videoing members of the public?
I'm videoing.
Was this sanctioned by the parish council?
This is not public discussion. Can we stop this, please?
I'd like to just know for what reason you're videoing me,
And I'd like to
please.
know what reason you're videoing.
I have a legal right under that.
I have a
As
legal
local governments need to
And so
do.
do I. So
Don't
let's carry on.
stop being so childish.
Thank you.
No, you, I mean.
Oh, me?
Let's get on with it.
Thank
I'll
you.
support that.
Thank you.
Can I just are we ask questions from the floor?
Frank?
Pardon?
Yeah. Are we asking if anybody got any comments on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought you got something else to say.
No, no,
That was it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, we'll now go
Sorry,
to...
before we move on with that, we used to have in the public forum the opportunity for the police, the borough council and the county councillor to make
That can be
presentations.
done anyway.
Can we add that to there? Because I think
Yeah,
there has
that's
been
fine.
concerns about the situation with the X1 bus route, and I think that would then be easier to come out.
I think they've got to say, if they've got anything to say, they'll say it anyway, Keith.
They may not be here, they may be sending emails in to people, and I think that's an important item that should be on the agenda anyway. Either we make it an item for the agenda until it's discussed, or we allow Borough Councillor time to...
Well, I think the Borough Council will comment on that possibly, if there's anything to say.
And I have to say, I'm happy now that it's no longer the Zoom meetings. We can put it back in. Yeah, we can put it in as a standing item.
Right, we're going
So is that agreed?
public forum now. Anybody got anything to say? Yes, John.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of points I'd like to mention. First thing to draw to the Parish Council's attention is hopefully during September we'll have mains water installation to the church in Fleggburgh. This should be done during September. Certainly we hope to have it done by the half term in October, but it will result in a bus stop suspension for a few days while the connection is made by Essex and Suffolk Water. This is part of a two-part project, the second part being the installation of an external self-composting toilet, which will be on the north side of the church. That is a longer-term project and probably due to the lack of fundraising in the last 18 months won't be done for another 2 years. But the installation of the mains water should be done, as I said, this autumn. We now have, I think I mentioned previously, we have a church fundraising group now that's been formed to help raise money for these projects. The reason, again, I want to draw your attention as to the importance of this. Some of you may be aware that the Diocese of Norwich, and indeed the Church of England generally, are looking to restructure throughout the UK, the churches, and looking at the feasibility of churches throughout the UK. And the churches which are more likely to survive this restructuring are those churches that have got facilities that can be shared not just by the churchgoers but by the community generally, the village and the community generally, which is why things like mains water installation and a toilet is important to have in the church. That's the church. My second point concerns footpaths, but I see that is on point 11 of your agenda tonight. Can I make my comments at that stage, or did you want me to make my comments now about the footpaths?
Yeah, now please, John.
Okay. I've been walking around the whole village, looking at footpaths, and we have a complete mishmash of standards. Some are very good, some are average, what I call average okay, some are poor, and some are missing totally from where they should be. And I just think that we need to, this is something that came up in the neighbourhood development plan, the fact that we have footpaths and we make use of the footpaths. So I think that the parish council should look at ways of maintaining those footpath signs. And if you're interested, I can't pass on a my breakdown of the footpath signs and the condition that they are in, if you so wish. But as I said, there is a complete mishmash of quality. And on that point, are the parish council aware that there used to be a footpath running from the corner of the old post office down through the fields across into Mill Lane? Are the
That
parish
was
council?
never a public footpath. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
I remember cycling down that.
Yeah, I
many
know, but
times.
that was never a public footpath. That was to access to the allotments, because that field used to be allotments.
Okay. Fine.
And that's what that was. That came out in the lane, but that was never a public
Okay,
footpath.
well that's something I didn't know, so thanks for that. And finally, on the subject of footpaths, as we suspected, there is cycling and skateboarding along the new footpath of Pipistrel Close, and I'm asking whether the parish council would consider contributing to a sign that says no cycling or skateboarding along this footpath. The cost of 2 signs is £37.20 plus VAT, and I think it's necessary because it is going to become, we've already noticed more and more people are skateboarding. In fact, we've actually noticed some adults are skateboarding on it as well now, apart from children. So I think it's something, it's a very smooth footpath. It slopes down at the end, as you know, onto the Tower Road and Rollesby Road, which encourages the skateboarders. So I'm wondering whether the parish council would consider paying for those 2 signs at a total cost of £44.
That's something we can put on the agenda for next month. Anything else?
John, the people who are skateboarding, do you have any indication of where they live?
We aren't here to discuss it, we'll put it on the agenda for next month. Anybody else got anything to...
Can I just finish off, sorry Frank, can I just finish off, wrap up those 2 points I've talked about with the church and the footpaths, and ask a general question. What are these developments in the village? What are they contributing to the community in the village? You know, the 6 houses have been built on Church View at nearly £700,000 a pop. You know, the 4 houses down Roseley Road, the 4 houses on the main road, the 2 houses that are going to be on the corner of Tretz Lane and Roseley Road. What are we asking these developments to contribute to the village? You know, I've talked about footpath signs, I've talked about necessity to have facilities at the church. Are we getting contributions? Are we asking for contributions?
I would like to comment on something. I should think they're going to contribute about the same as when Westfield Close was developed and there was developed. If you want to cast your mind back to that.
In what respect?
I mean, you can't make people contribute. If they like to, that's fine.
I'm talking about developers.
Yeah, if it's over 10
Yes, so am I.
it goes into the 106.
Yes, it goes into the 106, doesn't it?
It has to be over 10 houses.
The 106 will be bring money into the parish, or will bring money in, but that come to the parish, another matter. That's down to our borough council to try and push that.
Sean was right, the development's got to be over 10. I mean, when my father was here, we tried to push on that to be on, I think that personally should be on every house. As John said, that they, you know, you've got people building 9, 6, and they can literally contribute nothing towards the back. So at the moment that is 10, but the development we've had with John is, and the development's got to happen behind, that is lumped together, they have lumped that together for 106, not to be Frank's development. Further down Rollesby Road will be 106 money coming to the parish. But to answer John's question, the 1s and 2s and 4s and Church View will contribute nothing.
That's just up to the developer if he wishes to contribute to the parish.
Yeah.
But is there not a stage of planning that we can, that you can say to the developer?
I think we're nearly head on 10 minutes.
10 houses.
Right.
I think, John.
1 more minute.
Right.
Is there anything else? Anybody else got anything to discuss? Yes.
Could you tell me who's responsible for the pond?
Which pond?
The pond on next to Tower Road and Rollesby Road that runs along.
The pit, you mean?
The who?
The pit?
Well,
Drainage dyke.
Drainage pit, that's what that is, yeah.
oh, is it? Well, who's responsible for it?
Well, it will be the Pipistrel Close Management Company once
That's
it's handed over to us.
I thought thought it had been handed over.
No.
No, that's down to the management company for that development.
Right.
And it will be private land along with all the other green areas around Pickersall Close, with a right-of-way footpath running through it. But all the other parts will be private land owned by Pickersall Close Management Company.
Anybody else?
If I briefly take on the point there, if I briefly come in as Borough Council now, there's one or two questions that John had. The corner, if you remember the corner of Pickersall Close, which is handed over for parish, for public land, we have now got that tied up with the Borough Council.
No, that isn't public land. Public have got access over it.
The piece in the corner, which this side of the footpath,
Oh, you're talking about on the highway?
yeah, is now will be maintained by the Borough Council. They cut it once and they will now cut it. If you remember, there was a whether they would, there's no tied up where they will cut. We sorted out with John, and the Borough Council will cut that corner.
They've got to maintain that like they do all the other bits that they're supposed to do. Like the bit on Rollsby Road, top of Tret's Lane.
What in Fleggburgh?
They're supposed to maintain that.
What, near Dairy Farm? What, the corner,
No, on Rollsby Road.
Yeah.
Outside the development. The Firs development.
Well, the Borough Council supposed to maintain
Yeah.
that? Well, if that's the case, then no, I didn't know that.
That was Paul Lear had agreed that.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah, now he is.
Right, okay. That was a long while ago then, if that's the case.
Well, that was when that was developed. What happened, the footpath, and they give the passing point, and they said, Paul Lear had said, highways will maintain that piece which is left, because he didn't want that tarmac. He said that could be grass and left.
Paul Lear might have said that. Have we got that in writing anywhere?
Well, I haven't. I want nothing to do with it, but...
So there's nothing in writing? Because I mean, that's the first I've heard that the Borough Council we maintain.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were in short pants then, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Right, okay, if that's the case, I'll follow it up.
Yeah, we'll follow it up.
I've never ever cut that, have you?
No?
Right, okay, that's fine. So that's that one. Now, just for this Sound 2 sign, we have now got the other Sound 2 signs. So Fleggburgh's got their own Sound 2 sign, Phil's got one, and we share one. So we've got 3 now in action now. So Philip and Clifford should get their fair share. The clerk should have you had the paperwork through, Jimmy? From Norfolk County Council from Martin Wildy.
No.
Right, okay, I'll follow that and I'll see you after.
Yeah, okay.
Because if we now forward the bill, what we paid, and the locations of the sign, we get half our money back. We pay for it and we get half our money back. So that's not. Your gateway signs have all been agreed, and I've just got to wait for a date. That's all in hand. And now the bus was mentioned. Sorry.
Sorry, when you say it's all agreed, what we put in and voted on didn't seem to be what we got back as a
No,
template.
what you've got at the moment. I've got to come back to this committee. What you've got at the moment on I'll get the chap's name who's dealing with this now, because the original lady went off sick, the second one's off pregnant, and now with the third one now, which is where the delay has been. That's been the delay. Now that far behind, the Sound 2 sign, if you remember, was the second year parish partnership grant. We've got that in operation. Well, we're still waiting for the first year grant, which was the gateway sign, which should have really been in operation. But what they've got at the moment, if you just said, we welcome to Billerby, please slow down, welcome to Clifton, please slow down, and welcome to Fleggburgh, please slow down. And I don't think the word Burson now comes on to the other signs. If you remember, we had it in brackets underneath. I think we agreed, didn't we?
Well, that's what
Burson
the council
underneath.
agreed on, so
Yeah.
I just wondered, is it going to come back to us to
Should
where
come back
will we
before they
have?
agree, because it's not, it's not come back to what this council agreed. That's where we are with those. Phil ones haven't even been, you're ahead of us now, although that's just how it is. I want to try and tie the two up together, but at the moment Fleggburgh seems to be ahead of the Philby one. And you mentioned the bus. Norfolk County Council met on the 2nd of August, and we met at Yarmouth with the Transport Association on the 11th of August. The 935,000 which Norfolk County Council got to improve the bus routes is still set in at Norfolk County Council. They agreed on 14 routes, of which our route from Norwich to Yarmouth via Philby and Fleggburgh was one of the 14 routes agreed on prior to COVID, and then obviously COVID hit. Now they're saying at the moment that because people aren't using public transport in the numbers they were, the Norfolk County Council have gone out to tender for the route in March, and if we're fortunate enough to pick up the tender on that, then that's the time scale now. So we're hoping to get it in quicker, but that's probably March now. Ensure, the Transport Boys have sent a letter saying, can we bring it forward? I've sent a letter saying, can we bring it forward? But the 935,000 is still set there, so I can't see why they can't bring it forward. And if it goes ahead, that'll be an hourly service, and that'll be an 18-month trial. And if after 18 months it's not standing on its own 2 feet, then they've got two choices: either they subsidise it, or hopefully they'll stand on its own 2 feet. Because a lot of the sub-routes are being cut. That's my lot. Yeah, that's it. Sure.
Thank you very much. Right, we move on.
Sorry, Chair, before we start the meeting, I'd like to propose that item 14 is moved to be discussed after item 20, because I think that the two are relevant together.
After 20?
After 20.
Well, we have to close the meeting and then open it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Item 14.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Can we do that?
We can. We'll have to open, close the meeting, do what we need to do, and then open.
Well, we might as well leave it where it is then.
That's your choice.
Yeah, we don't see the point in that.
I think the two are very much tied together. I don't think we can discuss 14 before we discuss 20.
No, we don't move it. We haven't got to close the meeting and then open it again. Leave it where it is. To receive and approve apologies for absence.
Fran Doherty, Richard Sewell, and Andy Grant.
Declaration of interests for items and applications for dispensation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Approve the minutes of the last meeting. Everybody's got a copy of the minutes, they're read them all, I assume. Everybody happy with them? Can we have, there was only 3 or 4 of us here, so can we have a proposer?
Well, yes, I'll propose it. Thank you, Patrick.
Second?
I'll say. Thank you, Richard.
Everybody in favour of accepting?
I can't
Yes.
vote because I wasn't here.
Okay, so that's, hang on, that was Keith and Frank. You both okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
To receive and note the clerk's monthly report. I can't remember what it is. Anybody got a problem with it?
I just wondered if you could give us an update, Frank, regarding the footpath issue. That the clerk's report suggests that you were passed details of someone that's interested in additional cutting.
Yeah, so I contacted Paul May. He said he was interested, so I passed his details on to Frank.
Yeah, Frank forgot about it, sorry.
Okay.
But he forgot about it because they'd already been cut, hadn't they?
Okay.
I'd really cut the church footpath and somebody else had cut another footpath, which were the two we want and somebody cut.
I walked round the corner with my strimmer and I was gone. Don't let me stop you.
So maybe we'll contact him and he do Crispies, don't he? He do a lot of footpaths for Crispy, that's the reason. I will contact him, so I'll try and sort that. But I don't really know what we want cut down. But if you get John's list sometime.
Yeah, you do need some cut. It's on my
Yeah,
list.
okay.
Is that not on the ginger item about the edges of it?
Yeah, it is later on, yeah.
Is that also? We'll look on that, do we? Now, planning. Lilac Cottage, Main Road, Billerby, which is a porch. Now, there's no objections online, so I assume that nobody's got any objections. Can we have a proposition on
Yeah,
that?
Well, we've already sent emails to Jimmy about this because of the time constraint.
Yeah, it turns out, I asked for it.
Yeah, but you got the extension in the end.
No, well, what happened, I asked for an extension, they didn't give it to me, and then I got something saying it is extended to the 27th of August. So, I don't really know
I
what to
think
do.
this is just a retrospective
Yeah,
vote because we've
Yeah.
already voted and
Yeah.
you've already sent the parish
And we
council.
didn't vote last time, did we? Because you said that there was
No,
controversy.
we voted via, we gave our opinions via email and said we would then retrospectively have a vote here. Provided-
We didn't know that.
Sorry?
Can you tell me what you want?
yeah, that's true, it's true.
Right.
You're sorry, as
So
chair-
let's move
as
on then,
chair-
so we're supporting
Are you
it.
saying as chair you're not aware of that?
I'm aware of it, Kev.
I know you are,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Dairy farm.
So are we, sorry,
Can we just
still
make
need to
clear
vote.
that's...
Yeah, we do, so can we have a proposer?
I propose we support the application.
Ricky seconded, thank you. All in favour? Thank you.
I don't know if I'm allowed to vote on that.
Dairy farm, barn, Tretz Lane, Fleggburgh. Conversion of existing outbuilding and a link extension to form one dwelling. Now this barn was already approved by a long time ago. Permitted development.
One of the barns was. There's two
Now wait a
barns,
minute,
there's
I
two
haven't
barns.
finished yet.
Okay.
And he applied for a link at the same time initially to join the shed at the back with the barn. It's not really a barn at the back. And that was refused on the grounds that there's too much new build. So what he'd done, he changed back to conversion of the barn only, which they approved. And he's now put some drawings in, which he done a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, which do supposedly means that he's started the development, so he's now proposing to have a link at the back. That's the story of it. I don't really see where there's a problem with it, but and the neighbour, Peter Harrison, he hasn't got a problem with it. Don't really think it affect anybody else. And there's nothing else online as far as I know.
There's only a slight concern from highways because there's also an additional carport to be erected along the side, and their concern is that that doesn't.
There's no consistency, I'm afraid, with Sturt fencing highways. I applied for 4 bungalows down there and was got to put 2 passing points in, and I got a 5-page letter back saying why we couldn't use Tretz Lane.
I think that's kind
But
of.
now all he do is put a 2-liner in, providing it's a passing point, and that's it. So.
Well, yeah, no, what I'm saying is the concern is about the boundary for the highways to make sure that the carport doesn't affect that boundary.
Well,
Because it's
what
quite close
happens,
to that
what
boundary.
you're talking about boundary on the highways?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's up to the developer to establish where the boundary is. Nothing to do with us.
I'm just raising that there is a concern, that was all.
I mean, highways didn't have an objection,
No.
did they? They just had a...
Highways will always say that's up to you to agree the boundary with them, which we had to do on various occasions, and everybody has to do. So that's nothing to do with us approving it or supporting it or what.
I propose we support the application.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
We take a vote.
Anybody against it?
No? All in favour?
All in favour?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Orchard Way. This is Mountain Dairies at Orchard Way. Proposed single-storey rear extension. once again, there's no objections online from neighbours, and you usually get that on the state if anybody's got anything against it.
Well, the observation is from the next door neighbour about just to make sure that the extension will not be higher than the existing structure, which, looking at the plans, that looks as though they will obviously be the same height. But that was the only observation.
That would be planning sort out anyway.
I've got some concerns about this application. Just the sheer size of it. It's obviously 50%, almost 50% extra on the bungalow itself at the moment. There's only, I think I count 4 bungalows down there, and they all have conservatories or utilities, like small extensions. And personally, I think this is a step too far on the property. You know, it's a good size 3-bed bungalow, and I think what they're asking, in my opinion, is a little bit too much.
Well, as far as I know, there's no, I've not seen any objections.
Yeah, well,
or heard of any objections.
I won't support it because, like I say,
yeah, but have you, do you know of any objections?
Extension. What?
Do you know of any objections?
No, but I'm giving you my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion is that I would not support it because it's a 3-bed bungalow on a road which has got a good variety of houses on there, and it's only got 3 or 4 bungalows like this on that road, and I think this extension is a step too far.
I think if you look at the house that backs onto number 12, the bungalow, they have a very, very similar sized extension that has previously gone through.
Roydon Way has about 14, 15 bungalows, which are 3, 4-bed bungalows. Obviously, Orchard Way came after Roydon Way, so there was obviously still a bit of demand for 4 bungalows.
Well, yeah. All right then.
Sean
has proposed that we oppose.
And if you think how old that is, which is how many decades old is this Orchard Way?
Right, Sean has proposed, and you're proposing we don't support it.
I think there's a shortage of 3-bed bungalows, and I
do you now? This is up to the individual. Now let's get this right. Are you proposing we don't support it?
I won't be supporting that.
I said, are you proposing we don't support it?
Well, yes, unless someone wants to propose they will support
Can
it.
we have? Is there any other proposals?
I propose we support the application.
And I'll second we support it.
Is there anyone else?
Is there anybody to support, to second? Sean?
I think if you put an extension the size of that on there, it's, you know...
That's the end of it, Sean. We'll take the vote.
Mr Chair, before you go any further, can I just clarify that this is Melton Dewey's? Because if that's Melton Dewey's, that's 5 Orchard Way and not 12 Orchard Way. Are we talking about the same?
No, that is 12.
It's 12 Orchard Way.
It's definitely 12.
And that's Melton Dewey?
Well, I don't know who the other one
They've
is.
got opposite from where they live, haven't they?
They've got one opposite.
Right, right.
So
Okay, that's fine. When you mentioned Melton Dewey, because I've seen the application, the application comes from 5, but they actually 412.
Well, I thought that's Melton Dewey.
Is there a seconder to Sean's?
Is there a seconder to Sean?
Can I just say, may I abstain to them? Because I did have concerns, but I don't have enough information of my own to actually go say yes or no. So I'd like to abstain.
That's fine. Yeah. Should we move to a vote, Frank, please?
Right, can we show her supporting it?
Okay, so...
Who's against it?
And Ricky abstain. Okay.
Support.
Motion carried.
Applications received since the 14th of August. Well, you've got this one, a TPU one.
Yeah. So it's one sycamore tree to be felled due to being
As
dead.
far as I can see, that's Stephen Howard, the agent for this, and he would be the one who's demolishing it, and that's what I would read, that's dead.
It says it's dead, yeah.
I mean, we can't argue that. That's either alive or dead, and if that's dead, then what'll come down? So we'd support that.
Where is it? Which one?
30 to a village.
Which one it is, I mean, it's been enough, that's dead, that's
Well,
dead.
surely there's somebody who would look at that anyway.
Well, they look back at the council.
Yeah, I read it.
Yes, that's that one.
That's Boland who's dealing that, and he's looked at it.
That one.
Just sorry, but again, Richard, try and get a bit of consistency here. Would the parish council consider asking for a replacement tree, not on exactly the same place, but a replacement tree? Because we are losing a lot of trees in the Bygone village at the moment through removal for whatever reason. We're the same problem at the Bygone building, and what we're doing is saying, yeah, we've got no objections to you taking it down, so it's dead, but we would like a replacement.
Well, if they're dying, Adrian, they ain't got no choice but to take them
I
down.
said, I've got no objection to it coming down, but I would like to see a replacement.
Good idea.
I would
Well, you can do.
deal with that.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, can
So
we propose
can I
that, please?
propose
Yeah, go on
that?
then.
So, Ricky, what are you proposing?
Replacement of
So, knock it down and replacement. Yeah.
Support the application.
Support with replacement, fine.
And if we do that, if we're
Thank you,
consistent,
Adrian.
if we're consistent on that, then we lose the trees, which we are losing at the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seconder, please.
I'll second that.
Quite a few lots of keys.
Just seems so much.
Yeah.
Everyone in favour?
Planning decisions.
Everyone in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, unanimous.
Planning decisions,
Nothing, no.
nothing. Planning decisions received since the 14th of August, obviously nothing again.
Nothing.
Correspondence, to consider and respond to the following correspondence. List issued. Any comments on this?
I think any comments will come in the rest of the agenda, to be honest.
Yeah.
We don't
The
them
only-
anyway, do
The only comment I would suggest that, having had discussions with Jimmy in trying to get all the background information out at one time, which would help councillors, but the concern that Jimmy had was previously the council requested numbers of emails being sent to him to be recorded, which I propose we cease doing that, and then that will enable the clerk to get reports and everything out to us quicker. I don't see what point that recording of numbers has, what benefit it gives the council.
And it says nothing about quality of emails either.
No.
So, I'm happy not to do it. I agree.
It's fine then.
Yeah.
Give that, we move on.
Yeah, we move on.
Yeah. Agree with that.
Finance. To new bank reconciliation. New accounts and approval items for payment.
Just a comment, I did ask at last month's meeting that the budget figure be included in the accounts.
Yeah, okay.
That hasn't been forwarded and it hasn't been included.
No, that's fine.
Is there an issue with that?
No.
That can be done,
Yeah.
will be done next month?
Should be, yeah.
Okay. No, not, is that, I hate that word, should. Is that
Should
will
be.
Will be?
I'll do my best.
To new,
You're not going to get me committed on it totally. There you
to
go.
new accounts. Anybody got
I think
anything?
they need to, I think, yeah, there's been a month, if you can't do it.
Well, I've been doing
Well,
quite a lot of-
he'll do it.
Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, I've
He'll
been
do
doing
it,
quite a lot of
and we'll
things.
move on again.
They appreciate that,
Yeah.
but I think
And I
it's,
work 5
I
hours
think
a week.
it's important. Well, if you need some time, then send me the spreadsheets and I'll put them together for you.
Right, Keith,
Okay.
he will get it done as soon as he can, and we'll now move on to new accounts.
That's not an answer. As soon as they can, or should be, it's not a commitment, in my view.
Accounts? Any comments on accounts? Right, approve items of payment then.
So if you want to just approve bank rec and the accounts together.
We've got a vote on that.
Yeah, propose.
Okay, thanks, June. Second, please. JL, thank you. Everyone in favour?
Yeah.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Okay, move on.
approve items for payment.
Yeah, we've seen the invoice for Fleggburgh. It's just sugars
Well, the
expenses.
CCTV cameras are fitted and operational. And what we've got to do is pay it, and they will then reimburse us less the VAT.
They'll make a donation.
Yes.
Pardon, what you said?
So the village hall will make a donation to the parish council. They can reimburse us, otherwise they will lose the advantage of VAT.
Yeah.
That will be done.
Well, there's a meeting next week, isn't there, for the village hall, so I'm sure we could push that down.
Well, you've
Can
got
we
the
have
treasurer in the village hall, you can
Can we
ask.
have a proposal
The boss
for
is
the
over
second
there.
for this place?
I propose we
For
approve.
payments?
I propose we approve those
Second.
payments.
Yeah,
Second.
Seconder,
thank you.
everybody in favour?
Okay, ask.
Okay, fine. Everyone in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any invoices after the 14th of August?
No.
No. Investment of parish council money, well, that hasn't changed. I mean, unless you've got to put in premium bonds, you ain't going to get anything. Now, tribute to Mrs. Celia Boone. She was a parish councillor for a few years, but she was also the backbone of this place. And if that hadn't been for her, I don't think there would have even been the new village hall. And she raised a terrific amount of money for that. And she was Mrs. Village Hall. And as far as I'm concerned, this village hall has never been the same since she packed up. But I mean, hopefully now under the new regime that might be. But that is, I propose I don't know what you want to do as a tribute to Mrs. Celia Boone, but she did do a hell of a lot in this village.
Yeah, I'd just like to say she joined in a lot with the Fleggburgh School. She was on the PTA, Parents Teachers Association. She did lots of fundraising that meant children could go on outings and buy things for the school. She's taken part in loads of fundraising in this hall for different charities, putting on lunches and things. She was just so widely known, respected and loved. And actually at her funeral, you couldn't get any more in the church and people were all standing outside just paying tribute to her, which I think speaks volumes. She was very well respected and loved.
She had our parish at heart.
She did.
Yeah.
She lived for this
All the
parish.
time she lived there,
She
yes, she
really did.
did.
As I say, I doubt if there'd even been a village hall. I know she wasn't the one who got the grants, but she was the one who pushed and raised money.
So what's the
And
proposal
ran
for
everywhere.
tribute? I don't know the ones, I can't comment, but what we're proposing as a tribute.
I don't know. June asked for this.
Well, I just think she should be mentioned and noted. She was a parish councillor. She's devoted a lot of time to this village, and we're just mentioning it there for that, for the respect and to say
We
she's
just
had a
want
lot.
recognition in the minutes. We're not proposing as a tribute to buy a bench and put in.
That's what I was about to say, actually.
or
Is there anything in that
Well,
respect?
we
I think
could-
if there's got to be a tribute, what that should be, and this would probably be down to Village Hall rather than us, that they put a plaque up in the hall.
Well, can that be
Could we
put
take that
forward
forward?
to the village
To
hall
the Village
committee?
Hall, yeah, the
Yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Because I won't be at the Village Hall meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So are we saying from this that the parish council would support that?
We'd have to, well,
Yeah, it'd have to come back,
we
yeah.
can set a budget for that now.
Now let's see what the Village Hall say,
Yeah. Okay.
and then we can decide at the next meeting what we got, to what extent we got support.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Are we all in agreement with that?
Yeah.
You don't need that vote on that, do you?
No.
Documentation review. Complaints procedure, equality and diversity policy, recording and filming policy, health and safety policy, model publication scheme, FPC publication schedule. Has anything changed from previous ones?
No, looking through them all, there was nothing to update. The only one potentially to be updated was the publication schedule in terms of how much you charge people, but I felt that myself that the prices that are on there are already reasonable, and I haven't had to charge anyone for any physical copies since I've been here, which is 2.5 years.
Anybody got any comments on this? No?
No, I think we should accept them as they are without change.
Give me a vote on that.
I just want to ask, I didn't get a chance to email this, could I have a copy of the disability and access policy? Because I couldn't find it.
Okay.
Just a copy, just a digital copy would be great.
Yeah.
Can we have a proposal that we accept these?
I just did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seconder.
Yeah, thank you.
All in favour?
Thank you.
Job done.
And they'll be updated on the dates provided
Yep,
on the
yep.
website
Mm-hmm.
before the next meeting.
Absolutely, unconditionally.
Dangerous overgrown hedges and bushes causing highway problems and footpaths. Now, I haven't got to go into this in detail because technically all I would like to say is, though, for Christ's sake, don't cut anybody's hedge without you get permission off the owner. You're going to have big trouble.
I had this, I will just say, I had this come up today. A person came after me and said that they were disgusted. The hedge, they said in the past we've had 4 odd times when we had to trim our hedge or do it, and they said we've either had a phone call or we've had a visit. And they said they couldn't believe that was all over Facebook about that hedge. And they were quite disappointed about that.
That shouldn't.
What happened 2 years ago when there was just a phone call?
That shouldn't go on Facebook. If there is a hedge, all we got to do is
Could I?
somebody
like to say something.
can approach. I'm sure if that's a hedge,
Frank?
somebody on the parish council will know the person.
Chairman, may I have a little statement that I'd like to actually read out. I've been quite involved with this, and because lots of people talk, and my access problems highlight a lot of the bushes and the footpaths and everything, but I have a lot of people talk to me about it. And I just wanted to read this out because as a parish council, as a village and as a community, I believe this, what I'm about to say, if I'm allowed to say it, is more poignant than Facebook and everything else. I have been asking people if we can help on Facebook. I have. Because people are talking, and I talk to people on the street, and that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to create more conversation rather than people being thrown under the bus and people having to be reported for their bushes, not being able to do them, and going straight to NCC instead of having a conversation.
All they got to do is contact anybody who's got a problem with a hedge. Either contact us, me. I mean, in the past I've been and seen people and they cut the hedge. We've never ever had to report this to Norfolk County Council. This is my point. Not ever, because they always do it.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I won't read this because it's longer than I want to say now, but I will say this, okay? I've only been here 2 years, yeah? And in that years there's been issues across Facebook, there's been issues communication-wise. I am 100% fully committed to help, to get people talking. Conversation is key, and if there's problems with bushes and footpaths and that, as a village, we're not a town, we're not a city, we're a village, and there's only so many people here. We can talk to each other, we can, if people don't know people, that's where maybe the parish council or groups can be involved to help people get connected. Connection, talking, and action. There's the group that myself and Sean are.
I don't think there's any point in discussing this, to be quite honest.
Well, I do.
Because
I'm afraid
hedges are the responsibility of the landowner.
It's not about that.
So if the landowner doesn't cut the hedge for years and years,
The landowner, if he hasn't cut the hedge, 90% of them, 99% of them, if they're approached in a sensible manner, they will get their hedges cut. And this has happened over the last 40, 50 years. We've never ever had a problem.
It's not happening at the moment,
Why are
though,
we in the
Frank.
situation we are
It's
now?
not happening at the moment.
Pardon?
Why are we in the situation
Yeah, I
now?
agree, Keith. It's not happening at the moment.
Well, because nobody's reported any hedges.
There is loads.
Sometimes.
I mean, something went on Facebook and somebody was upset and they cut their hedge.
Well, that was someone who's recently moved to the village. It was an observation he's made. So he's well within his rights to make an observation to say, this is dangerous. I'm walking down this path on an A road and I'm getting pushed into the road because of all the vegetation and the hedging.
If the people who own the hedge, had they been contacted and asked to cut it?
That's the key.
That's my point.
Must talk to the people.
That's my point. Can we
Well,
have a
that is
start?
the way forward.
The starting point is talk first.
Yeah.
Reporting last.
Definitely.
And that's my point. And I would like it to become, you know, goodwill. There could be a case that someone can't do it for any reason, for illness, for any reason, they might not be able to do it. But once we get to a point where it's still there and there's no one talking, then that's the time to introduce reporting that.
We've never had anybody who wouldn't cut a hedge once they've been approved.
But we are in a position at the moment where there is lots of access problems in respect of bushes, hedges, overgrowth, and it's there. I walk the streets, I have a white
So
stick.
have anybody seen the people?
And that's what I was trying to do with the Facebook page.
I mean, well, I don't know about Facebook. I mean,
No, I know.
I get on Facebook for 100 years, no one now.
Frank, it's a communication device, the same as a piece of paper, the same as talking to somebody, where you can actually engage people.
I don't see any point in pursuing this anymore. I mean, if there is any hedges, then report them and we'll contact the people
So who are we going to report
to
to?
get the
Who are we going to
report to Jimmy, me.
Well, I'll give you an
So how do we
example,
report
right?
it to you?
Normally there's somebody on this parish council who will know that person.
That's what I'm talking
Years
about. That's
and years
exactly what we
ago,
should do.
Going back a few years, the parish council used to have a footpath organ.
You come back a bit now.
Well, I'm just going back, yeah, that was there for a purpose. Was that purpose to accommodate such issues and be a central point of central?
We haven't had a footpath warden for 20 years.
No, sure.
Well, unless Sean was, yeah. I mean, the last one was Helen Scott.
There's a lot of goodwill out there, and there's a lot of people that come together to cut things back, and so it's not like it's
Yeah,
not
but
out
if
there.
we pursue this any longer, we'll be here all night. I don't
the
think
only
we're
thing-
achieving
But it's a
anything.
problem for the parish that it's actually quite serious for everybody right now. If we pursue it all night, then at least we get somewhere.
The only thing I would say is we must do it through the proper channels. If it's somebody's hedge, overground,
Absolutely.
under a path somewhere, that must be reported so that somebody from the parish council or the clerk can contact them either by phone or go and see them and say, please, can you cut that hedge?
Can I answer that?
Normally,
That's
one
a
of
great
us
idea.
will know the person
That's-
whose hedge it is.
And that's exactly my point.
I mean, whether that
people
road
can contact us
funds,
as parish
Mrs.
councillors.
Darlington's or something like
Frank,
that.
sorry, can I just... Exactly what you're saying is that if people can contact us through whatever means, whether it's on face-to-face, telephone, Facebook, email,
Yeah, that's right.
then we can help.
We have
Rather than
agreed
find
that that's
people-
what we've got to do.
Yeah, contact
And that's
the
the end
parish
of it.
council and then...
Well, I'll just give you an example. Last year, we contacted someone on that main road, and he didn't do anything about it. And I kept going on to Jimmy about it, and he never cut it, right? So I went to him and spoke to him, he was quite abrupt to me, and he said he didn't think it was a problem. And I said, well, have you not walked down there? You know, the trees are hanging out, the vegetation is over the road, the path is half the size it should be. You know, if you push a pram down there, or if you've got a child beside you, you want to hold their hand and walk the pavement, you can't. It's because it's been neglected for years and years, and the person who should be responsible for it doesn't think it's a problem. He did not think it was a safety issue. But after I did speak to him, and like I say, it wasn't the most pleasant of conversations, he did get something sorted within a month. So, like you say, if you do approach him...
Well, you won't have a bigger problem we used to have down Broad Road, would you?
No.
And that went on, so that was halfway across the road, and they did do it in the end. That took a bit of scheming.
But that has been neglected for years.
And I went to see them, and that was hard work, but they cut it right back, and they had to cut their heads back by about 2 feet.
But approach him first, that's what I said.
But surely the
You
people,
must know,
people
or
who
cut
are
their hedges
responsible
down
for
or
looking
back
after
without
should know that
consult.
it's an issue, it becomes an issue, or they need to do it once or twice a year. If they haven't done it for years, it's going to become an issue. People will complain.
But people will do these things, what is sure. They will leave, people have a habit of leaving things, and then you have to bring it to their attention sometimes to get it done.
Yeah, I understand that, but during this pandemic, a lot of people
I think
spend a
we
lot of time
discussed
at
this
home
enough.
or walking
Mr
around.
Chair, could I just say something on that? I mean, I totally agree with Sean. Whilst I was chair, I knocked on several doors along the main road. Got somebody out of bed one morning, actually, but it worked. The same day, I believe it was cut.
Yeah, well,
What
so
I
have
was-
I. I mean, I rang
Yeah,
hundreds of different people in the village to get hedges cut, and everyone was done it in the end.
yeah. But may I suggest perhaps for the people who, if you don't go on Facebook, you're not going to know all this, so I didn't know even what you're talking about, what's
No,
been
you're
written
wrong.
on. But maybe we should have to, is there anything more that we could put on our own website that would make it very clear?
I have.
Jimmy did, because
Yeah.
we spoke, and Jimmy did
Yeah.
actually do that as well.
And request that somebody contacts the clerk in the event of any problems.
It
Is
was,
that on the
Needs to be
website?
made very clear.
Can I
It's
make
on the
something?
website.
Sorry, can I make something very clear? If this is the one thing that
Yeah.
it wasn't about Facebook. My post that went up was about outside of Facebook, getting all of us to connect and engage with the parish, so that when someone has an issue, whether it's hedges, whatever it is, we can be approached and help people. And that was my Facebook post, because that's the way I communicate, because I don't go out my house on my own. So my way of communicating when I'm not able to go out is social media and telephone. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about.
the person who put the post, it was quite quickly as well, in the comments, we said, oh, you need to contact the parish clerk, and he'll speak to the owner for you unless you want to do it yourself. So, you know, it's a tool that's quite instant, you know, because the communication is very instant, and you know, we directed him, you know, which would be the best way to go about it.
Is it actually the best way of going about it, Jimmy, to report it to you as
I'm
opposed to the
actually not
council?
convinced myself.
Or as a
Well,
council?
What you can do is report to anybody, you can ring me, I don't
How
care.
do we ring you?
Well, I'd say in terms of...
How do we ring you?
But they
Tell me, as a
telephone,
parish councillor, how do I ring you?
What do you
When,
mean?
when you don't want to share your communication with any
No,
other
no,
I
parish
didn't
councillor?
say email, you said ring me.
What? How do I ring you?
By telephone.
Where do I get your telephone number
Well,
from?
well, now, that's in the book.
Is it?
Yeah.
What book?
Oh,
What book
telephone.
have you?
That's in the directory.
What directory? Directory.
That was the point of my Facebook post.
That's in the telephone directory.
Communication. That was my whole point of my Facebook post.
Right, we're now moving on.
Sorry,
Make
can I just-
application and take part in local government award scheme to the
Mr. Chair,
quality
Chair,
award
Chair.
level.
Sorry, could I just report then that at the weekend I did a walk down the marshes, got across the Ligger, and I could not go any further, which I knew would be Broads.
Is that Stokesbury?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that. Is that
You
the
can't-
Broads Authority?
Well, I assumed it is.
If that is, we might be able to contact Alicia at Ormsby.
I'm pretty sure
But it's
I
appalling,
reported that.
it's right up
Yeah.
to your waist.
I've got her number, I can ring her and ask her whether, because they get heavily involved in the common as well.
Yeah,
So we'll ask the question.
okay, thank
Well,
you.
as it stands at the moment, as we're talking about that, I walk that all the time. It has been done down the side of the Muckfleet, right down to the road, and over down to the pumping station. When you come back across Mrs. Fatten's land, it's half done. So you get halfway along, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
it's
it's like that.
literally like this.
I would think that's the Broads Authority. So I would have thought we could probably get on to Ormsby to do that.
I'll leave that in your coat.
I certainly would try. Can we ask our borough councillor?
Well, you want me to go through Ailey Trothney?
Pardon?
Well, do you mean the Broad Authority Ward, not Ailey Trothney?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alicia.
They have a team, they have Ailey.
Ailish, yeah.
They have a community team will go out and do this sort of thing. So where is this footpath you want cut?
It's the one that comes, they've only cut it once.
Yeah.
But the one that goes down by the side of the Muckfleet and over, right down to the pumping station, has been done once this year.
Right.
But the one that goes across Mrs. Fabb's land, that comes back to the top of the Muckfleet, is only half done. to get across the first fields, and then you really get into trouble because it looks all hunky-dory, and then you just walk into, oh, they've stopped, they haven't gone any further, and that is a fight. I mean, I normally go round the fields and that way, but it's not been done at all.
Further down to the top of the map,
Is it our end of the footpaths was not been done in fact?
Yes.
This has been a general, we had problems, well you know we had problems at Morphy.
I know, I don't know if that's been done.
The general problem, just to chuck in the mix for Parish Council for next agenda really, your footpaths really, I think we're relying on Norfolk County Council, we're relying on other people. What we're looking at Philby is to budget for next year where we do our own footpaths, get someone to do, so we've got an ongoing thing with footpaths, just get a contractor in, so we, from a parish point of view, you're looking after your own footpaths. But is it Norfolk County, is it Broad Authority, is it Voluntary, you know, at the end of the day, people complain about it getting sorted, so we're looking at getting them all under one umbrella, whether something figure what to do with your footpath next year is up to you.
Well, we can preset for it.
It's the cost, because we've got
We can certainly discuss it and preset for it
I
later
accept
date.
that's the cost, but that's what we do. And I said right from day one, people don't mind paying rates if they know what they get. I don't mind paying more rates if you know you're getting your footpaths cut, your roads maintained, you don't mind paying. That's when you're paying rates and not getting nothing for it, that's when you get annoyed. But if you know, as long as you see where you're cutting, but that's entirely up to the parish council. I'll get this one done.
That's FP1.
Sorry, FP1.
Yeah. Which is to Stokesby.
Yeah.
FP16 goes to Acorn.
FP16. So it's FP1, FP16, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, can we leave you to sort that?
I'll sort that one for you.
Yeah, okay, so I wouldn't need ringer.
If you want to, I've got all ring,
Well, all right, I'll let you go. But we'll both do it.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Frank, just one last
Well,
question.
so I cut twice now.
It has been an extraordinary year for growth on these paths. Like the last few years, the amount of rain and sun we've had
this year.
That has been so much growth. Some of them they might get cut and then within a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I don't think they probably even know about it, do they?
Possibly not, but just follow on from Sean's point.
But I mean, that's the best chance we got of getting that done, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but just, Sean mentioned the cutting of these things, I mean, just, we mentioned at the last parish council, I mean, these banks and stuff are ridiculous.